Hello, folks. I'm Athananos,
I'm Matthew Brown.
and welcome back to another episode of The New Agora. We're very pleased today because we're speaking to a very important member of the Edinburgh community, a presidential candidate. So I will let him introduce himself.
So, hello everyone. My name is Salman, and I'm a presidential candidate for the Edinburgh University Students Association's 2023 elections.
Fantastic.
So, I'm from Bahrain, and I'm currently in the International Foundation Program, Center for Open Learning. And yeah, hopefully today we're gonna get across some few points that will really help you get an understanding of my manifesto and what I see Edinburgh to be.
Mm. Can I ask just a quick question before we get into policy? So, can you talk a little bit about how you ended up in Edinburgh from Bahrain?
Okay, so being in school in an American curriculum school in Bahrain, I was actually planning on going to America first for university, but then I really got to read about Edinburgh and how much of a beautiful city it is and the education system. I wanted something new, so I was gonna go to the London area, but I decided that Scotland was a really nice place based on what I saw. Like I visited Scotland before, and I thought that was a place that really interested me, and I wanted to come and spend 5 years of my life here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Enjoying it so far?
Yeah, it's amazing. Food, people, everything.
How long have you been here?
Well, I've been 6 months in as of now.
6 months in.
Yes.
Awesome. So you have a long way to go and a lot of things to do.
Yes.
So that's quite a quick turnaround from being here 6 months to running for president of the Students Association. What was it that made you decide you were going to run? Like, what you seem pretty committed to the ideal already.
Yeah. So I've run for student president back in my school, and I've engaged in those sort of things within my community back home. And coming here, I got to see a lot of things that were present here but not present back home. But I also got to see things that were present back home and not here. So I thought that if I'd bring the things that I have experienced and seen to work back home, if I brought them here, I think it would make a big and good change to the community.
Okay. Can you give us a couple of examples of the things you think you saw back home that were good that you'd want to bring to Edinburgh?
Yeah, sure. So one of those things is transport. Like back home, transport is very easy and it's very well flowing. I'd also like to cite an example in London. Like in London, the frequency of buses are more compared to Edinburgh, and especially near student areas such as public halls. Like buses come every 15 minutes or so, if I'm correct. So I'd like to increase that. And also the 24-hour food options. Like I come from a country where you can get food just about any time you want. And I think it's very important for students here because usually it'll affect their health. So if they don't have food, they'll end up eating bad, microwavable kind of foods at night.
Right.
Like that
Or
kind
just
of thing.
from your local chippy, just stuff that isn't necessarily
Yeah,
great
something
for
that's
you.
not healthy, like chips, those kind of things. So yeah, it would be very good if there were 24/7 healthy food options around
Okay,
campus.
nice.
So I wanna start with the 24/7 food options and talk about your plan to implement that, because for me that is incredibly exciting. I'm from New York, and we also have a lot of 24/7 food options, and I live a decent distance away from campus. So when I leave for the campus to study and go to classes, I'm pretty much there until I go home. And we've all been there times when we have midterms or finals due, and we're in the library very late, right? Significant periods of time. And I've had that experience where it's like 10, 11, 12, and I need fuel, I need food, and there's very little, if anything, that I can get. So that has me very excited. So I'd very much like to hear how you are going, what your plan is for implementing that.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, we share the same thing. I leave the library at very late and I have no food. Besides the kebab shops, but they're closing too. So my idea for implementing 24/7 food is basically the ambitious one is having actual cafes that are on 24/7. But the fail-safe plan is to include vending machines that have food. So in that way you do in essence have 24/7 food.
Mm. So what the vending machines that have food, what would those entail? Like what kind of food would be in?
Well, that would be up to the students of Edinburgh. Like we'd like cast a vote or something, and like whichever foods find favor in the student body, we would include in the vending machines.
Mm.
So I guess with vending machines, I guess it's a little trickier though to get that kind of availability, sure, but then healthy is more difficult to implement with the vending machine, right? Because although where I used to work, we had these vending machines when they had like healthy options. It was like granola bars, like nut bars, and these popped chips. They really do. It was like rather than fry them, it's like popped potato chips or something like that.
Yeah.
Which were quite nice, and popcorn So
You can definitely
put dried
um
fruits, nuts.
put like healthy things into vending machines.
Sure.
Yeah, like sandwiches, for example. That's the thing. And if you guys have seen like Japanese vending machines, everything they do everything. So yeah.
Mm.
They have these really cool ones in Amsterdam, a place called Fibo, where it's like you walk in and it's like little boxes on the wall, right? And there's like a little like a burger or a croquette or something, and then you just put your €2 in it, open the door, and then you take it out. And as soon as you shut the door, someone opens it back up and puts the thing back on. It's probably a little too extensive
Yeah.
to implement
Well,
it.
like
Yeah,
I don't know, like the airport vending machines too. Like they'll even have like salads that you can like a container that you shake and all the ingredients in the salad and then eat it
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
like a salad. Yeah.
Yeah, for salads especially, like at the end of the day, like if it's not being, it's gonna be put in a fridge. So why not put it in a fridge that would make it available for people?
Mm.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm very enthusiastic about that.
You seem very enthusiastic about it.
Listen, that's the one thing that I think separates you from a lot of the other candidates is I haven't seen any other candidate say, 24/7 food. And so that immediately caught my eye and made me excited.
Well, and that might also incentivize students to stay on campus for a little longer.
That
Right,
is true.
so to study, to stay at the library, to
Yeah.
keep studying, because you're like, oh, rather than thinking, got to get back because I've got to eat, there's some options here. Have a little salad, bit of a fuel up, and then I can crack on and keep working. So that might have a knock-on benefit effect of keeping students studying, and rather than having to break their study periods up to go home and
Exactly,
refuel.
it could be a motivating factor for students as well.
Sure.
And improve performance because, without fuel in your body, you can't, think or study properly. You need that fuel to keep you going.
Yeah, and good fuel as well. So that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. So why don't we move to your next plan that you mentioned, the the better transport options. So how and what specifically are you planning to do to increase the amount of the feasibility and accessibility of transport around campus?
Okay, so the first thing is, well, I have like three main subpoints to do with the transport thing.
Go for it.
First one is to ensure student transportation, for example, the King's Shuttle, to ensure it's operational and works. The second one is to increase the frequency of buses around, like, student populated areas. And the third one is to bring more fun options of transport, such as Bolt, like, the bicycle things you unlock with your phone, the ones that are all around London, like those kind of things. So yeah, so starting with the first one, ensuring the King's Shuttle still works. I think it's very important because it really acts as a main mode of transportation for students, buses. So I'd like to preserve that and keep it going. And for my second point, to increase frequency. So when you think about, there are like thousands of students in the Pollock area, and not just in the Pollock area, in other student populated areas. I think that there should be an increased frequency of buses in those areas rather than out of town or whatever. Because like there are a lot of university students and they need to get to where they want to get to on time. Because usually if they miss a bus, they'd be waiting for pretty much a long time, which would make them late. And for my third point, the Bolt eco-friendly transportation. So I like this idea. I really liked it. A lot of the people I talked to here liked it. Like getting bicycles, the Uber ones, if you want.
Sure. Like with the scooters, same kind of.
Yeah, with the scooter ones. Yeah. So you just put them everywhere, and then students can use them, and they would act as good transportation For example, if you're done with your 24/7 food and then you come out and you want to go home, you don't find a bus route easily, especially with the night buses.
Sure.
You take a bicycle, you just go home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just that, it's because students tend to go where students are. So if students keep using the bicycles will follow where students are, basically.
I
So
see.
there'll
There's
always be bicycles.
always be bicycles in the car. Okay.
Exactly.
Mm. And I have a question about the buses. So is the plan um, to create a bus system that's university based, or is it to increase the frequency of the buses that already exist around Edinburgh, the city of Edinburgh?
Well, it would be preferable to have separate buses under the university, but the most likely alternative would be to increase the frequency of buses within Edinburgh bus system.
Mm. And how feasible do you think it would be to do that?
The first or the second option?
The second option.
Well, to increase frequency, I do know that the university has like a seat in parliament, as in the president. So we might be able to voice it there and see what, what can happen after that. But I do think it's pretty possible, to be honest.
Mm. And what about the school buses? Like sorry, not the school buses, but university buses.
Well, that depends on the university and their budget.
Mm.
As of now, I don't have a response, but I can get back to you guys later.
Mm.
Sure.
Okay.
And so a similar kind of question for the bicycles.
Yeah.
Like I guess you probably have a similar answer. I guess it'd be, I mean, what difficulty could you foresee?
With the bicycles,
Yeah,
I mean,
or any of them, to be fair. Or if there's any sort of difficulties you've seen ahead and thought about.
I've thought about some things such as the Edinburgh terrain,
Mm-hmm.
but also then when you think of London in some areas, they're still there. So I think if the university gets in contact with the company, they can probably find a solution to this.
Mm. So we'll be reaching out to the companies and kind of creating a partnership
Pretty much, yeah.
with them. Mm.
Sounds doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't we move to the third point,
Affordable housing.
affordable housing. I think that is a big one with a lot of students. I have a lot of friends that, number one, I've had a ton of trouble getting flats, and number two, the flats that they find, are incredibly expensive for them. So, what is the plan for helping alleviate some of the housing?
If I can throw in a question before we get to that one,
Yeah.
what is your conception of the problem? So before we get to what are you going to do about alleviating this for students,
Yeah.
what do you take to be the problem that's causing a lot of the things that Athens just brought up that you would then apply your solutions to?
Well, so when it comes to the housing crisis, we know that prices are going up very high. And it's not necessarily because of overpopulation, but rather like the high increase in cost of utilities.
Mm-hmm.
So, which will continue increasing like in the future. So what I think should happen is, because a lot of international students come to the University of Edinburgh and a lot of local students live here, I think the university should put in place initiatives to secure their students and their well-being. Because at the end of the day, if a student doesn't have a good home to come back to, or a good place to stay, they won't be able to be productive academically. So my solution to the housing crisis in relation to students,
Sure.
I have three options basically. The university support, financial support, bursaries. The second one is university building more accommodations for students.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is co-op housing.
What was the last one, sorry?
Co-op housing.
Co-op housing.
Yeah.
Could you explain that for me?
So co-op housing is a very complicated process. So like to explain here would take a long time.
Sure.
But to
Basics.
make it in short, basically a student rents and kind of owns a property at the same time, so that he doesn't need to benefit the landlord. So landlords don't exist in those kind of things, but rather students pay and reinvest in themselves, which they end up paying short rent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
There are initiatives like this which have taken place or been established in Manchester, Liverpool, a lot of places around the UK. And I believe there are around 5, if I'm correct, in Edinburgh.
Oh, interesting. I
Mm.
didn't know that. I know those. Is that going well in those other cities like Manchester and Liverpool?
Yeah, they're like in Manchester, Liverpool, they're in the hundreds. So yeah, they are taking off eventually. So I think that's a solution. But I think what's more of a solution, like right now for us, is for the university to either invest in bursaries to give students to increase the accommodation costs, or to build more student housing.
I see.
Mm.
Would building more student housing alleviate the cost of living aspect to it? Or would that not just sort of provide you with more properties that are going to cost a very similar amount?
I mean, if there are more properties than there are the ability to cater to students, I think the price would go down. Like the university would rather rent properties than have to keep them ideal or empty.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
Mm. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Mm.
So I wanted to get onto the part about community that Atha brought up before we got going. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your plans are for trying to bring back that sense of community at the University of Edinburgh?
Yeah, so I think like when it comes to University of Edinburgh, there are events that are created by like certain groups, so a niche kind of people go there, you know. It's all the groups.
Societies and
Yeah, the societies, they're always like niche. I think like this is one thing we used to do back in our old school and like in a lot of universities in my country. They'd make events where it's like everyone comes together. The whole university like shows up Bristol Square. There are a lot of people, like, you know, that kind of sense of community. It's really beautiful when you see it, when you see the whole university coming together in a certain place.
sure, yeah, I bet, I bet.
Mm.
We don't see it. You don't see a lot of that. Like,
Yeah,
if
I'm
anything.
6 months in. I haven't seen like anything
fair
yet, but I've looked through the videos and stuff. I've never seen the kind of thing I envisioned.
Mm. Well, I should say that part of our mission in this podcast is to kind of help bring together, cast a wider net among all students, and foster that, you know, communal aspect. So we're happy to assist in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know it's an interesting idea as well, because I think what you've been observing, right, is that there is this atomization, right? Like you say, little niche groups, you know, and they have their things in common with one another, which is absolutely fine. But then, like you said, there isn't this communal coming together as an entire community.
That's true. I think the University of Edinburgh students should unite as Edinburgh students. Like, yeah, they could pursue their other activities, but it would be nice to see, for example, once a year, to see like event that goes for 3 days where everyone comes and unites. That'd be very amazing.
Mm.
The closest I've seen is during freshers, where they have the like club exhibition things.
Right.
Something like that would be amazing if it were to be implemented like once a year,
Mm.
or maybe a concert in Bristol Square. That would
Well,
work.
you could talk to the properties department. I forget what they have a name. But George Square might be a good little. It's like to have like a fair or something, like at the main campus, it's where everyone's kind of welcome. It isn't necessarily like the older guy here. It doesn't necessarily have to be clubbing. You know, it doesn't have to be like going
Yeah.
out. But have some kind of like during the day or a long weekend, like communal fair. Have some stands and some stalls and things set up in George Square, and then have everyone invited and come together, and it's social, and there's games, and it's fun, and there's loads of different stuff to do.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I'd like to see that.
Like something similar to this is the arts festival in Edinburgh. But the thing is, in the arts festival, people who are interested in the arts go there. Like I want to create something similar, but it would interest all Edinburgh students, regardless of their interests, passions.
Mm.
Just the fact that they are a student at Edinburgh, they'd like to come.
And what kind of theme or things do you have? Do you have anything in mind that?
Well, I don't have anything in mind, but it should be like something international, like a kind of event or day that happens international only once.
Mm. I think it's very interesting because I'm an international student, and part of the appeal of Edinburgh was its history, was its like pride, was its place in the world. And I think I kind of expected there to be a similar enthusiasm about campus for, you know, the city, and people would kind of unite around its like special place in history, and I don't know. I think it's kind of lacking that, and so I'm very glad to hear that um, you want to help bring back that pride of the city, because we all come from different places and different parts and different backgrounds, but what unites us is that we all chose somehow or another to be in Edinburgh and to study at this university, and I think we should celebrate that more.
Yeah, that's true. And you actually give me an idea right now in here. It's do you know the Dubai Expo by any chance?
Yeah.
Where they like bring a lot of countries. Like that could happen here. Like a lot of countries like having stalls and sharing their culture. So everyone would be able to come together and learn something new.
That would be good. That'd be
Yeah.
good. Kind of like the what was it? What was that thing we went to the other day with all the different society stands? What was it
The
called?
cultural,
Cultural fair. That's the.
but
It's more of a society.
it wasn't like what you're talking about, because it was just people with their stands, and you would go up and you'd say, "Oh, what's your society about?" And they would say, "Oh, take this flyer and scan our QR code."
They didn't have food or anything.
Some of them had sweets and snacks, like if they were like from different particular countries or a particular cultural society, they had like snacks from their home countries, I guess, or some cheese in some cases.
Very few though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so have more food.
yeah,
Yes, definitely the food.
and definitely, yeah. I think a bigger event would be better.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, even something as simple as like I mean, maybe there's too many students to do this, but like a University of Edinburgh ball, because you have balls for like different societies or yearly big gatherings and dinners. It would be nice if there was a venue or a place where sort of everyone who wanted to go, who was a part of the university community, could come along to that. You'd need quite a large venue, obviously, but
I mean, you can do it like outside, like during the Bristol Square area. We just make University of Edinburgh Ball Day, and everyone just goes there.
sure, yeah, yeah. Well, they do kit that out sometimes, don't they, for like a big marquee and everything. So
But if it rains,
then you get
it's a
wet.
big problem. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
at least you're having fun.
Exactly.
and I do think that that's kind of the fun of this spring is here is you get all 4 seasons in one day.
That is very true.
So yeah, I think because it's unfortunate that the Fringe Festival is in August, where all the students are a lot of the students are away,
Yeah.
because that's kind of like Edinburgh's pride thing. But within the university, we don't really have that same kind of a thing.
No, I agree. No, I think that's a great idea, mate. Personally, I think it's quite an important thing. Is there anything from your manifesto that we haven't brought up, or is there anything that you want to speak to as to sort of why you were so driven to
Yeah.
do this?
There's actually one thing to do with the affordable housing, but I didn't mention it in the manifesto,
Go
so
for
this
it.
is the first place I'm going to mention it. I would like pets in accommodations.
I would love pets. I
Basically.
wanted to get a rabbit. I had the dream. I'm going to go to university. I'm going to get a study bunny,
Yes.
and then I wasn't allowed to because not allowed pets. But we have loads of mice, so I guess that kind of balances out.
Yeah, I mean, if we can have mice, why can't we have pets?
That's a good argument.
Yes.
Should use that.
Yep, that is it.
I did see in your manifesto that you emphasized humor,
Yes.
and the fact that you wanna bring humor back into to this.
Yeah, I mean, like, when I say that, like, I don't think everything should be very strict and serious, Even back home when I was, like, during student government and stuff, there always needs to be a, like, place for play, to have fun, to not be very serious, So, yeah, I think it's very important, like, honestly.
Mm.
Oh,
And
I
it
find-
helps creativity, it helps people
Yeah.
be at ease. So, yeah.
I think it also cuts some of the tension that can exist between like opposing groups, let's say.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, look, this was incredibly insightful. Thank you, Salman,
Thank you
so
very much
much
for having me.
for coming on and telling us a little bit more about your campaign. Quickly, how can people listening vote for you if they like what they heard?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a mini tutorial basically. It's on my ED. So when you click on My ED, you go to Student Life, and then you see, I believe it's on the third column. It's vote student elections or something like that, and you click on it, and you can vote for whichever candidate you'd like.
Right. And presumably, after watching this, you're going to vote for.
Yes, vote Sal.
Thanks.
All right. Vote Sal, everybody.
Yes.
Awesome. It was good having you on, but thank you very much.
Thank
Yes.
you very much. for
Thank
having me.
you.
It was
Pleasure.
amazing.
Pleasure.
All right. See you next time.